Hello friends, today's topic is, was the Mughal emperor responsible for the downfall of Mughal Empire? My lesson plan includes why it is in the news, theory of kingship adopted by Emperor Aurangzeb, his religious policy, revolts of Jats, Satnamis, Sikhs and Rajputs against Aurangzeb and his policy, annexation of Shia states of Bijapur, Golconda and fight against Shivaji and Marathas. And finally conclusion. Friends, why it is in the news? Samajwadi Party MLA from Mumbai, Abu Azmi, sparked a controversy few days ago by saying that the conflict between Aurangzeb and Sambhaji Maharaj should be construed as a political and not religious conflict. He said that Aurangzeb was not a tyrant, but he was an efficient administrator, and during his rule, the Mughal Empire expanded further. He also contended that the Mughal Empire flourished during the period of Aurangzeb, and so he described Aurangzeb as a great administrator. Friends, now we will discuss about the policy of Aurangzeb and how his policy was responsible for the downfall of the Mughal Empire, and to what extent other socio-economic factors were at work, which finally led to the decline and downfall of the Mughal Empire. It is true that at personal level, he was a hard-working emperor. He had always engaged himself in the administrative works and strengthened the empire by leading from the front. He was free from most of the vices of those days. He would stick to only 4 wives at a time, and his personal expenditure was borne by his income through calligraphy and by making mats. But as an emperor, he was a complete failure, because in spite of being highly qualified person, he had blurred vision because of his bigotry. He was a fanatic Sunni Musalman, and so his theory of kingship was to convert India, Darul Harb, a land of Kafirs, to Darul Islam, a land of Islam. And so he gave temptations to Hindus by way of remission of taxes, forceful conversion, and encouraged them to adopt Islam. His bigotry policy not only extended to Hindus but also to Shia, and that's why he annexed Bijapur and Golconda, which were ruled by Shia rulers at that time. He could not comprehend the true nature of the struggle for Maratha Watan, that is homeland, and so in the second half of his tenure, almost 27 years of his life was spent in Deccan, thereby squandering the resources of the Mughal Empire, and ultimately he got nothing. The killing of Sambhaji Maharaj was also based upon his religious bigotry, because he compelled Sambhaji Maharaj to convert into Islam. When Sambhaji refused, he was cut to pieces, and thus he was deprived of the opportunity to negotiate with a legal head of the Maratha kingdom. During the war of succession, he gave a clarion call and issued fatwa contending that the fate of Hindustan was not safe in the hands of his elder brother Dara Shikoh, alleging him as heretic and too much liberal. It is true that more than 80 taxes called abwabs were abolished. These taxes were borne by common people. But even in the economic policy, he inserted his religious bigotry by clamping only 2.5% custom duties on Muslim traders against 5% custom duties on Hindu traders. It is true that by 1700 AD, India was the most prosperous country in the world, almost producing 24% of the GDP. But those wealths were concentrated in the hands of kings, nobles, zamindars, government officials, merchants, and traders. Common masses were reeling under heavy weights of revenue burden. Should be noted that during the period of Aurangzeb, the share of the state, the land revenue was about half of the produce. Thus, the theory of kingship of Aurangzeb was to strengthen Sunni Musliman in India and to weaken or convert Hindus into Islam. And that's why during his period, revolts took place among Jats, Satnamis, Sikhs, Rajputs, and finally Marathas. His religious policy smacked bigotry, while some other policies were secular in nature. For example, a stoppage of the cultivation of bhang, forbidding dancers and musicians in the Mughal court, a stoppage of the practice of kalima on the coins, celebrating of the festival of Nowruz, a stoppage of gambling, drinking of alcohol, forbidding of the practice of sati, finally forbidding the Hindu festivals like Diwali, Holi and Basant Panchami. He also appointed officers called Muhtasibs, who was assigned the duty to enforce Islamic laws among Muslims, and they were given power to punish on the charge of blasphemy. In addition, during his period, temples of Vishwanath at Banaras, Somnath at Patan, and Kesav Dev at Mathura were destroyed. In 1679, he reimposed jizya upon Hindus. Only women slaves, children below 14 years of age, beggars were exempted from jizya. He gave temptation to Hindus by way of remission of taxes, promotion in services. Thus, the religious bigotry of Aurangzeb set aside all his personal virtues. During his period, Jats, Satnamis, Rajputs and Marathas revolted against the Mughal Empire. Although Jats were crushed, but later on, under the leadership of Churaman, they became able to establish an independent Bharatpur state after the death of Aurangzeb. They continued their fight during the second half of the period of Aurangzeb since 1669 to 1707, and this revolt occurred on account of the religious persecution of Hindus in and around Mathura region. Similarly, Satnamis protested against heavy land taxes, and so they rose in revolt. However, they were crushed by the Mughal army. Around 2000 Satnamis of Narnaul and Mewat were killed in the fight against the Mughal army. Aurangzeb also reversed the policy of Rajput adopted by the Emperor Aurangzeb. During his period, there were three important Rajput kingdoms: Rajput kingdom of Amber, Rajput kingdom of Mewar, and Rajput kingdom of Marwar. Friends, as you know that Jaswant Singh was an able commander of the Mughal army. He was pressed into service by Aurangzeb to launch an attack on Kandahar, although he could not succeed in his venture, but ultimately he died because of his old age. During the military campaign of the Mughal army, his son Prithvi Singh died, two other sons also died, and so when Maharaja Jaswant Singh died, he had no legal heir. But when the family of Maharaja was coming back, two queens gave birth to two sons at Lahore. While one son died after some weeks, the other son named Ajit Singh survived. The Rathore commander Durga Das requested Aurangzeb to give recognition to Ajit Singh as the legal heir of Marwar kingdom, but Aurangzeb did not acquiesce to his request, and so Durgadas Rathore fled from Delhi along with two wives of Maharaja Jaswant Singh and son Ajit Singh and went to Marwar. The Mughal army pursued the Rathore contingents. The entire Marwar was annexed by the Mughal army. However, Durgadas Rathore and Ajit Singh could not be captured. They retired in hilly terrain of Marwar, but they continued their fight till the death of Aurangzeb, and after the death of Aurangzeb, they succeeded in getting Marwar as their homeland. Aurangzeb also made estrangement with Mewar. Fearing the attack on Marwar, Maharana Rai Singh started repairing the fort of Chittor. Since the mother of Ajit Singh happened to have blood relation with Maharana, Aurangzeb thought that in case of attack upon Marwar, Mewar will come to their rescue, and so Mewar was also attacked by Mughal army. One by one, Chittor and Udaipur were captured by Mughals. However, in 1681, Aurangzeb made treaty with Maharana and ceded both Chittor and Udaipur and all other conquered areas. Maharana Jai Singh was given the mansab of 5,000, while his son Bhim Singh was appointed in the Mughal army. The Maharana ceded the Pargana of Andal, Pur and Bednor in lieu of jizya imposed upon Mewar. The religious bigotry of Aurangzeb was very much detested by others also, like Champat Rai in Bundelkhand. Later on, Chhatrasal established an independent Bundelkhand. After the death of Aurangzeb, people rose in revolt in Malwa and Bihar against the religious bigotry of Aurangzeb, although these revolts were crushed by the Mughal army. Friends, as I have told you that Aurangzeb was a fanatic Sunni Musalman, and so he annexed Bijapur in 1686 and Golconda in 1687. Similarly, he wanted to crush Shivaji because the rising power of Shivaji very much infuriated Aurangzeb. The Shaista Khan episode, the Afzal Khan episode and the loot of Surat made Shivaji very much popular among Marathas, and he has become a rising power. And so in 1665, the Mughal army under Jai Singh was sent to crush Shivaji. One by one, Shivaji was defeated, and so he was compelled to make Treaty of Purandar, by which Shivaji was to keep only 12 forts. The rest of the forts were ceded to the Mughal Empire. However, after the return from Agra, Shivaji was able to capture all the lost forts, and so he expanded his Maratha kingdom till his death in 1680. After his death, his son Shambhuji Maharaj was captured by Aurangzeb. He was compelled to embrace Islam. When Shambhuji Maharaj refused, he was cut to pieces, and thus Aurangzeb was deprived of negotiating with a legal heir of Maratha kingdom. Now the fight against Mughal Empire became the fight of common people of Maratha kingdom. Friends, apart from the bigotry policy of Aurangzeb, there were certain other socio-economic factors that were at work for the decline and downfall of the Mughal Empire. These were following. First, the trade and commerce plus the agricultural production were not expanding commensurate with the rising population in India. Land revenue amounted to half of the produce, and common people, peasants, cultivators of land, were reeling under heavy burden of taxes. It should be noted that the number of mansabdars went 5 times from the period of Akbar to the period of Aurangzeb. But their income was not increasing. The huge expenditure on the building activities during the period of Shah Jahan further depleted the state exchequer during the period of Aurangzeb. The long absence of Aurangzeb from North India further made the administrative structure weakening. There was another factor, and that was the infighting among the indigenous and foreign nobles in the Mughal court. Each group wanted to have supremacy over others. After the death of Aurangzeb, this led to the rise of Sayyid brothers, who made the Mughal emperors captives for 10 years. And during a span of 10 years, 4 Mughal emperors were changed. An important factor was the failure of artillery to deal effectively with Maratha forts. War of successions after the demise of a Mughal emperor further have a adverse impact upon the state exchequer. Loss of manpower, disruption of administrative structure. An important factor was crisis in Jagirdari system, whereby Jagidars were unable to realize taxes on account of the disturbed situation in Deccan and other parts in India, and so they made private agreements with Maratha Sardars in lieu of chauth, that is 1/4 of the taxes to them. Finally, the Nadir Shah invasion in 1739 nailed in the dwindling or declining Mughal Empire in the coffin. The loot of Takhte Taus, the imprisonment of Muhammad Shah Rangila exposed the weaknesses of the Mughal Empire to the world. To conclude, the Mughal Empire has tended to decline because of the bigotry policy adopted by Aurangzeb. His policy alienated majority of India. It alienated the rising power of Maratha, Rajputs and peasants in and around Mathura and Haryana. His mishandling of the Maratha episode further alienated him from the Deccan, and the Mughal power after his death started declining, and in a few years Marathas were able to capture most of the lands in the Deccan and other areas in the north. So friends, now I just want to conclude that the statement of MLA Abu Azmi is not right. The policy of Aurangzeb and the conflict between Aurangzeb and Shambhuji Maharaj was not a political conflict, but it was mixed with the religious cause also. Because of the religious bigotry, the vision of Aurangzeb had become blurred, and he could not think of any policy which would have been encompassing all people irrespective of caste, creed, color and religion. And this was the main factor behind the downfall of the Mughal Empire. Thank you very much.